The Po' Boy Pundits podcast is brought to you by What Lola Wants. Go to WLWPrivateChefs.com for information to reserve top quality chef and restaurant services in the Chicagoland area. Pulpery Media presents Po' Boy Pundits with your hosts, Brock and Ben. This is where we discuss the political headlines that grab our attention and all those little jerks that infuriate us. Or what did Walter say in The Big Lebowski? This isn't Vietnam. There's no rules here.
Right. Doesn't anyone give a fuck about the rules?
No. But I think your analogy that you said in the last segment is right. It's like, but they're like an 8-year-old making spaghetti for the first time, and they take the whole pot of spaghetti and just throw it on the wall.
Yeah.
To see if it's done, and like half of it like slides down, and then somebody steps in going, "You can't do that," and they're like, "Okay," and then they move on to the next thing.
Well, yeah, right. Like they do it, and then they're like, "So there's backlash. Your approval ratings dropped 8 points, and the stock market crashed."
Yeah.
DEI. I'm telling you, it's gonna come out. I know better than anyone. DEI is the reason for it.
Sure.
That's the greatest, newest, greatest dog whistle.
Right, which is like essentially it's
the new Antifa.
Right, but and what's going to be sad is it's going to take so many people like how many years to realize like it's his secret way of blaming brown people.
Yeah, that's exactly what that. And I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about like
the whole thing,
the cult.
Well,
right? I'm not.
I mean the fucking just cherry on top of that one was fucking Greg Abbott in Texas. Saying there will be no more DEI in the Texas government, and then everybody else going like, so how the fuck are you going to wheel your ass into work?
Exactly.
Because that's DEI.
Because I'm ripping that fucking
ramp
out of every... Where do you go? Okay, hold on. We need to send people there and just rip all of the ramps out of Texas.
You better hope your kid doesn't have an IEP, because guess what? They're staying at home now.
Forever. With you, and you can't chase him around the house. Now can you, Greg? Huh? This is all on you, bruh.
Yeah. But it's...
But that's it. Like, plane crashes, 60-odd people die. It's because of DEI.
Yeah, no, that...
And then it got traction with everybody.
Well, not with every...
Well, the cult.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because... They think his little 30-second, this is a tragedy piece, and then jumping to blaming everyone other than his administration.
That first 30-second and just dipped out, everybody would have went,
yeah.
Holy shit, he handled that like an adult, but he couldn't.
No.
Like he did what he was supposed to, and like everybody's going,
yeah. Don't blame Obama. Don't blame Obama.
Fuck, here it comes. And like people,
Which of course you go in like, okay, first off, how can you blame somebody who hasn't been president for now 9 years?
Correct.
Right. Like that dude's to blame for it, and then you were a president
after him. So you could have, changed that like you just did last week with everything Biden ever did for 4 years.
Well, and
easy.
Yeah, or conveniently enough, it wasn't his decision to make those cuts throughout the federal government,
like the head of the FAA. Yeah, exactly.
And we already light on air traffic controllers, and then now you got rid of a few more.
I love the fact that they literally think that they like went out on the corner and was like, brown person, female, come here. Both of you, come here. How about you be an air traffic controller?
Well,
and then gave him like a 30-day crash course, corporate training.
The irony...
I don't understand.
The historical irony is, because I was just going over it like 2 weeks ago, was when they started doing civil service reform, like back in the 1890s.
Right.
And the amount of people that were upset about that going, and of course the whole thing was, oh, you just have to prove that you know that how to do the job that you're being appointed to or you're applying for. But that wasn't good enough for some people. It's being like, well, I gave this dude money for his campaign. Like, I should be able to take any government position.
Well, I mean, that's where we're at right now. At this
Yeah.
point. Like, we're there.
It has happened before, and it will happen again.
We are there. I don't know. Like, there's got to be a hard stop. Well, I guess you're right. It's happened before. It's just going to take longer.
Correct.
As each passing thing goes, it's going to take longer and longer to fix it.
Yeah. Or, I mean, at this point, like, but what they're, I mean.
I might not be alive by the time we get this shit sorted out.
No. Well, I mean, even if we get it sorted out, then it'll be, a few generations later, and then somebody new will come in, and they'll want to go back to the old ways. Because,
Make America great again.
Right.
In 57 years.
But, I mean, even that part's horseshit. Because it's like, oh, you want to turn this into 1950s America? Well, the top 1% was being taxed over 50% on their income.
Right.
And they weren't able to hide it back then because of...
regulations.
Thank you. I was about to say relegations.
Yeah. No, and they roll that shit back. Housing crisis. Okay, look,
Yeah.
we're going to put it somebody... The adult in the room's like, okay, somebody better keep an eye on this.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it again. And that's just one thing. Like, they're rolling back regs on every fucking thing.
Which not to go back to first segment, but it's like that the fact that he has all these economic advisors and not one of them we're going on Saturday. If you do this, Monday it's not going to be a good open to the stock. And maybe that was discussed with them, and they were like, well, let's see how the market plays out. And then we can always retract.
Out of all of those people, somebody.
Right.
Because
math is math.
Right. Let's not get it twisted. They are smart human beings in the room.
Or at least know how numbers work.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, not everybody's Donald Trump. Like, there are a couple guys in that room that are smart.
Yeah.
They're just saying yes, to advance their career. But, yeah. So somebody would have had to have said,
well, that's where
you're going to be on the shitter when the market opens and may have a heart attack.
That's where the whole Greg Abbott in Texas thing just makes me laugh. Of going,
I don't
like, could there be a better poster child for overall what they're talking about, and that we have to cleanse the government of DEI, and going like, you wouldn't have been elected.
So let's see. There was a guy.
Let alone get into the Capitol building.
There's a guy with an eye patch. That's a Republican. There's a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah, but the dude with the eye patch is an old school Republican. He doesn't.
I'm just saying.
Last time I heard him interviewed, he's not a Trumper. He's just like a crazy conservative, but
a dude in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And an old woman in hospice.
I was just or that. I mean, I'd like to see him tried in Illinois, and then Tammy Duckworth takes off one of her prosthetic legs and beats the shit out of somebody.
All of them. All of them. Swinging it around.
Yeah.
Like a fucking chair.
But then you also think about, just with the people with personal disabilities, like, you're fucking cutting out, like, so now you've literally told any veteran who has a disability coming back from,
correct,
like, you're fucked.
Yes, because that's actually a box on something. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And then, anybody who's sustained a physical injury, and of course, if we're disregarding people with physical handicaps or
what happens if
physical disabilities, then anybody with a mental, we're just going to ignore mental disabilities now, because we're trying to ignore the fact that there are people out there that don't identify by their birth gender. So let's just forget all that fucking shit.
They got rid of that with defunding, or who's in charge of our health system, or will be, apparently. Like, that's...
You mean the brainworm?
A heroin addict. Like, he is once an addict, always an addict.
Yeah.
He is a fucking heroin addict.
And an alcoholic, I think, yeah. Right?
Hegseth's the alcoholic.
I think our... Bobby,
you're right. You're not a heroin addict. Jr. You're not, okay.
Well, no, but I think he had an alcoholic issue too. Like,
so there.
Well, he's clearly an addict.
Thank you. That's what I was just going to. He is
of
an addict.
all things.
Correct. Addict.
Yeah.
it. We don't need like subgenres of this.
He just goes to anonymous meetings.
Correct. Because, well, no, he doesn't.
No. Yeah, because that would be bad.
I don't. So they're rolling back all of these, and a memo went out. Like they love memos.
Yeah.
What is that? Like a memo with an electronic memo. With
well,
like
and that
a picture of his signature on it.
Everything he's done so far only applies to the federal government. So that's where, like, Abbott doing that in Texas, it's like, so now that applies to the Texas government and anything the Texas government would touch within the state. So it doesn't mean like it becomes national law.
No, but if they get rid of FEMA.
Right.
Which, and it's hilarious that they're getting rid of all of these things where majority GOP voters live.
Right. Like need.
Right.
But that's, we were talking about on Saturday, that's sort of where I am right now, and I'm tired of using fuck around and find out. But it's like, look, it's like, if this is what you wanted, like, you have to pay the cost for it. We're all going to pay a high price for it. But I'm now willing to sit here and go, you know what? Like, I'm not moving. Yeah. I'm going to fucking stay. But I'm going to make sure I'm here. And just every time you start bitching about this stuff going...
We saw it coming,
yeah.
and I'm a little prepared.
But you called me a libtard and then moved on.
And a snowflake, and now you're drinking my liberal tears.
Right.
Whatever the fuck that means. Cry harder.
But
I'm not crying. Like, right now, I've said it to the therapist, like, on a micro level, like, it's not going to really affect me.
No.
My daughter, yeah, which is why it really pisses me off, but...
Correct, yeah. Yeah. If you're a white male in this country, you're not going to get the brunt of any of this. No. But, or a white cis male, excuse me, yeah.
Right.
But...
and I've got a white cis male with a job, married, and kids. They are not coming near me.
But we have, we have friends that are transgender,
yes.
And like I am legit
family. I'm
scared
terrified.
for them. Yeah,
they are now rounding up just people like American citizens that have a tan.
Yeah, well, you're going like this is how dumb they are. They don't know the difference between a Native American and a South American immigrant.
Again,
and you're going like,
if you've got a nice
what
tan,
else do you got to fucking do to Native American peoples or indigenous peoples in this country?
I think
they've already been their ancestors were rounded up, and now you're rounding them up.
Right.
Like, good job.
Trying to take the land. All I think about is the Family Guy getting on. When Peter's getting on an airplane after 9/11,
yeah.
And the guy has like one of those paint cards where it's like super white to dark tan, like you would do in create a character in a video game.
Yeah.
And it says, "Is it a terrorist?" And he's holding it up to Peter, and the color's like, "No," and they move on. Like that's how ICE is working right now.
But
like anything over this shade, they're just. Haul them in, ask questions later, which is legit what they're doing, and it is fucking terrifying. This is all going on here, ground level, while he's fucking us on a global stage. And the story out there in the media is DEI.
Right. Like, yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, because that's the overwhelming thing. Like, that's it. Anything that happens now, that's the reason, and it's disgusting.
Well, that was the same justification when the Supreme Court knocked down affirmative action, going like, well, we don't need it anymore, and blah, blah, blah. And you're going like, so you're saying like...
The second this goes away, we're just going to be like, you know what, we don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
It's fun. Honor system? Cool.
But that's
Let's
fine.
Shake on it.
If you work at one of the corporations that's getting rid of it, enjoy Johnny Douchebro as your boss for the next decade. The following segment has been brought to you by Whatever Lola Wants. Go to WLWPrivateChefs.com for information to reserve top quality chef and restaurant services in the Chicagoland area. The Po' Boy Podcast is a production of Pulpery Media, produced and edited by Ben Grimion, marketing by Brock Ryder, graphic design by Beck Ryder and Ben Grimion, music by the Heisenberg Compensators.